Hello everyone and welcome to yet another one of my fantastic videos. For you today I have a new version of my Yidris Master Wielder deck. If you want to see the original version, I'm going to put a link below. So let's get right started on this. First, as always, I want you to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Please do these things. Keep this channel going strong. First, we have Maelstrom Wielder, Mr. Yidris here. This is the second version of this deck. The first version was done kind of in haste. I had it out within the first week after this deck came out. So this is a more refined deck, a more refined version of the previous deck. The link will be in the description below. So if you want to check that out before you check this one out, go right ahead. Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. This deck can still use some improvements. So if you have suggestions, I invite you to put them in the comments below. The mana base in this deck is still kind of weak. I will be making improvements on that for my next version of this deck. And let's get right into this, shall we? Okay, we have Lotus Veil for some 5-color action. Ruptured Spire, Command Tower for full 5-color action. Exotic Orchard, pretty much an auto-include, especially if you play a lot of different colors. Excuse me. Then we move on to Savage Lands for some 3-color action. Opulent Palace, Crumbling Necropolis, Frontier Bivouac, I guess that is. Same reason, 3-color action. Then we have my one Scryland that I have in this deck. That's going to be something I definitely improve on. More Scrylands. I love Scrylands. That free Scry is always needed, especially early in the game when you need lands or fetches or a tutor or something. So definitely more temples, Scrylands coming in there. And we have my one Filterland, Shadow Blood Ridge. And these crummy one-life lands. These will be definitely the ones to go. Rugged Highlands, Thornwood Falls, Jungle Hollow. The one life is nice, but in a 40-life game, it's not critical. So I'll probably replace them with some Shocklands or some more Scrylands or something along those lines. We have our Ravnica Bounce Lands. We have the Rakdos Carnarium. Simic Growth Chamber for some growing of some Simic stuff. Cinder Glade. It's the only Zendikar double basic land thing that I play. When I made this deck, unfortunately, it was to the bottom of my lands barrel. This deck was kind of thrown together, as I said from the previous video, and the mana base still needs a lot of improvement, so there we go. Then we have our Evolving Wilds and our Terramorphic Expanse, pretty much an auto-include in most decks. Reliquary Tower, pretty much again an auto-include. Then I have this sweet Ancient Tomb Proxy. I probably own 4 or 5 real ones by now because I kept buying them and realizing later that I should just get some proxies made because I have so many of them. And yeah, anyway, play some basics. Bunch of forests first off, and then some islands and some swamps and some mountains. There we go. Basics. Then we have our Mana Rocks. We have Soul Ring, of course. Rakdos Signet. Simic Signet. Those are signets. Commander's Sphere. Chromatic Lantern. I believe this came with the deck. I'm finding it hard to find these at my LGS. They just blew out of stock as soon as these new Commander 2016 decks came out. But I'm going to have to pick up some more. I'll just have to get them from the internet. Sensei's Dividing Top, an auto-include. Fire Shrieker, This came as a suggestion from one of my subscribers on the other video. If you get Yidris with the Fire Shrieker, you can get double Cascade on all the cards in your hand. So he was like, yeah, you could get that double Cascade. And I was like, hell yeah. So, bam, Fire Shrieker. And some boots for Yidris. Whisper Silk Cloak. Again, this is great for Yidris to get that swing in there so you can get your Cascade. Burgeoning. A great auto-include if you're playing green. I pulled this on some of my friends the other day, turn 1, and I had 6 lands in my hand. I kept with the 6 land. I'm sorry, I had 5 lands in my hand. I had Burgeoning and 1 other card. I only kept it because I had the Burgeoning, and I was like, so as I was saying about Burgeoning, I had the 5 lands in hand. All of my opponents played a first turn land, and I was able to get my commander out turn 2. So, Burgeoning, Sylvan Library, an auto-include for green. Waste Not. You will notice in the first version of this deck, I took out Waste Not. Why? Because I'm an idiot. Someone said, why did you take that out? You're an idiot. And guess what? He was right. This deck has a ton of wheel effects, Wheel of Fortune, Wheel of Fate, Windfall, that sort of thing. And making your opponent's discard so you get an army of zombies or some mana or whatever. Card draws, this is an amazing card. And for 2 mana, definitely an auto-include if you're going to have all those wheel effects that I just mentioned. Birds of Paradise for some mana. Satyr Wayfinder for some mana. Kaidel Chosen of Krufix. Again, with the wheel effects, this comes into a huge amount of mana very quickly. Gamekeeper for some big thug action. Rashmi, because I always include Rashmi. Especially in a Cascade deck, because she's pretty much a Cascader, but not really. Wall of Blossoms for a blocker and a card. Sire of Stagnation for nice big beats, as well as some draw power. Coiling Oracle for his drawiness. Glint-Eyed Nephilim, same reason. Maelstrom Wanderer, getting into our Cascaders for double Cascade. Ethereum Horn Sorcerer, Cascades. Shardless Agent. Bloodbraid Elf, more Cascades. Marchesa, the Black Rose, for when you want to really keep your creatures out there. Attack the player with the highest life total. And get the 1/1 counter so they don't die. This is great for Yidris himself, as well as some other big beaters that I play. So that's why I play Marchesa. I also have a Marchesa deck on my channel if you want to go and check her out. It's a really fun deck. Nekuzar for all the wheel effects. I had a Nekuzar EDH deck at one point, but unfortunately, you immediately become a target when you play Nekuzar because everybody's afraid they're going to die in like 3 turns. So I sneak him into the 99, I'll Cascade him out or something, hit him with a couple wheel effects. They'll end up killing him, but not before I get some damage and some cards out of him. Vile Smasher the Fierce, pretty much an auto-include for this type of deck. There's a lot of high cast cards in here, and those are going to be the first ones you do in a turn for Cascade off of Yidris. Tasigur, for his ability to delve, get him out quickly, and he still goes on the stack as a 6. So if you want a cheap Cascader, I play Tasigur. Blood Tyrant for some big beats. Duplicant for some removal and big beats. Moving on to some to some planeswalkers. We have Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, for some blockers. Garruk for some blockers and for some mana advantage. Jace to manipulate the library for Cascade as well as some card advantage. Nicol Bolas for being Nicol Bolas. Chandra Flamecaller for some beats and for another wheel effect. Moving on to tutors. I have this sweet proxy vampiric tutor for some tutelage. Worldly tutor, get that big guy on top of the library right before you cascade. Dig through time, another delver for some card advantage, as well as a big cascade off of Yidris. Factor Fiction, card advantage. Evacuation for a bit of control. Bituminous Blast, mainly for the Cascade. Curtain's Call. A good Cascader. It goes on to stack again for 6, but never really costs you 6 because you always have at least one opponent. And it's good for control, getting rid of 2 creatures at once. Chaos Warp. This deck is red. Auto-include. Then we have Far Wanderings, Kodama's Reach, and Cultivate for some fetching of lands, because everything is high cost in this deck. Then we have my sweet proxy Regrowth. Yet another Demonic Tutor Skeletor card. Decree of Pain for some good card advantage, control, and a fat Cascader. Mind's Desire. This was another suggestion from one of my subscribers on the first version of this video I did. Mind's Desire, basically the storm effect, because you get so much off the Cascade. You end up Mind's Desiring for 5 and 6 and 7. And everything in this deck is huge, so getting off of Mind's Desire is pretty well a game changer. Treasure Cruise for some card advantage, and again, it's a Delver with an 8 cost, so big cascades. Rush of Knowledge, a fairly high cost card for cascades, as well as everything in your on your board is going to have a high mana cost, so this is going to draw you a lot of cards. Past in Flames, this is one I didn't include in my first version of the deck, and of course I caught hell from it on the comments section in the first video. I figured I was going to take it out because everything in this deck is so high cost, but in the end, Flashback really does make a lot of sense, and this deck is very mana rich. Yawgmoth's Will, this is another new add to this deck. Flip this out on a Cascade, and then you could recast everything out of your graveyard. Excellent card. Then we have our wheel effects. I have a very naughty proxy Wheel of Fortune. So if you're a youngin here, don't be looking at that right there. I'm just gonna cover that up so you don't see it. And Windfall, Reforge the Soul, Dark Deal, and Wheel of Fate. Lots of wheel effects for our Nekuzars and our getting more Cascade business going. In Garruk's Wake, a high cost, but wipes out all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. So, game changer. Army of the Damned came with a deck. Excellent card, high cost for Cascades. And 13 zombie tokens. Can't go wrong right that. Volcanic Vision, get a big cost back. Say you're one of your Delvers, like dig through time or whatever. Deal a lot of damage and get it back to your hand, and then get to recast it. So, a fantastic auto-include to me. And last but not least, we have Spell Twine. Get to cast a big thing out of your deck, one of the ones I just mentioned from my last, as well as get to recast something out of your opponent's grave as well. So, definitely included in this deck. And with that, that is my deck. So, like and subscribe, share, comments, all that good stuff, and have a great